And then a lot of the cast that were, a lot of the extras are actually patients of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia
Oh
or
wow,
yeah, or
that's awesome.
people knew. Yeah, I tried to make it as kind of like, again, as authentic and real and as possible.
All right, so thanks so much for joining me today. I have Amy Canaan Mann talking about Audrey's Children, which come to theaters on March 28, 2025. It is a inspirational, dramatic story about one amazing person and the barriers that she had to go through to help her patients and to kind of get over some of the in like sexist ideas at the time. It's kind of crazy that this was a story from the 1970s because when I was watching, I was like, is this like the 30s? Like this feels insane, but I guess it's been about 50 years, so I guess that is a decent amount of time. It was a fascinating movie about an incredible person, so I'm very excited to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. So, how did you get involved in this project? Like, how did you hear about this story? Was this something you've been tracking for a while, or did this come across your desk? And you're like, I have to make this story. I have to tell this person's, I have to make this movie.
Yeah, it was that. The script was sent to me and I was reading it and I got to the scene where Audrey is chatting with one of her patients at the roof of the hospital about how this patient can kind of conceive of her own passing. And I thought, what a difficult situation for any adult to be in. No adult wants to have that conversation with a child, and particularly a child who you are trying so fervently to save their life. And so, and yet here's, Audrey did that daily and for decades and never stopped the fight to revolutionize their care. And so I thought this is a story I really want to try to help tell.
Yeah, that was a beautiful scene because you're right. Like in medical care these days, you hear about people being overworked. They like come in, like give you your diagnosis, and then leave. Like Audrey seemed to really take, and that's not to say all doctors are like that, but like Audrey seemed to take a very personal, touch with her patients, really cared about them. That's called Audrey's Children. She kind of treated them as her own kids. Many, many,
Yeah,
many sick kids, but an amazing, amazing kind of work, ethic and kind of work responsibility.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was
So
tremendous.
yeah, this it comes through in the movie. Did you do any, after you read the script, after you kind of like decide you want to do this, did you do any research into like, cancer or oncology or things like that to kind of get speed, or was it already in the script? You didn't really have to do a ton of additional research before you started, planning this movie.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I did a lot of research. We all did. One of the mandates for me for the film was, I told everybody, cast and crew, I don't want any doctor or nurse to be able to watch this movie and think to themselves, nah, that's not really how you hold a syringe, or that's not really how you do, you know what I mean? I wanted it to be, I feel like I had such respect. We all had such respect for the story, for the world, for the woman, for the work that she did that I feel like to me, the way that you can really pay homage and show your respect is authenticity and just making sure that, everything is real and grounded and authentic as possible. And then also I think that's fascinating. So hopefully that's compelling to the audience and draws them into the world and that they want to hear more. But so yeah, having the equipment be exactly correct. We always had consultants on set. We spent a lot, we toured CHOP several times. I always had doctors on call. I could call if I had a question about anything. We did, and the cast did the same, just to make sure that we were, on level, on par as much as possible.
That must have at least been a nice kind of on-call doctor, right? Usually if a doctor's on call, something horrible is going to happen, but you're just
That's
like,
right.
hey, I just wanted to check to see if this is accurate. Is that okay?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, and I love that attention to detail, and especially the fact that you want to make sure that when they're talking about cancer, it's accurate because sadly, cancer is still a big part of our lives today. So it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy how much Dr. Evans changed that, but also kind of how it's still a kind of constant, not constant, but something that is very common in our world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it needs, pediatric cancer is one of the more underfunded cancer research avenues. It was then, and unfortunately, it's still somewhat true. There's a lot of money devoted to cancer research, but less money devoted to cancer research having to do with children. So yeah, it's still a battle that people are fighting.
Yeah, and also, I think especially with children, like, if someone is old, has lived their life, has made their choices, they get cancer, you're like, well, at least you had that time. But, for a kid, and it comes through in the movie, like, there's not
It's
a
so
lot of
hard.
time that you have with them, and so you want to
Yeah,
kind of like make it, you want to treat them and make it as comfortable as possible because they only have so much time left. Um,
exactly.
I love the cast. I really love the cast here. How did you get them involved? I guess specific, like how did you get Natalie involved? Was she, on it from day one? Was she kind of like someone you were envisioning to be Dr. Evans when you were reading the script?
Well, Natalie, I saw her and she did a I actually wasn't that familiar with Game of Thrones, honestly. I'm not a Game of Thrones person.
Shame,
I
shame,
know, I
shame.
know. I'm like last person on the planet. I'm like the lone holdout. But I saw her in a remake of Picking at Hanging Rock, and there's this shot of her on her back where it's like very intense, and I'm like, oh my God. And then she turns to the camera very slowly, and there's this fire, and I was like, that is Audrey. You needed an actress who you were um really compelled to watch her think, which Natalie has. Like it's just fascinating to watch her think. And that's essentially what this character is. It's essentially a biopic, and it's about a woman who's brilliant, and you're watching her move through the world, but also have ideas and have concepts and try to apply them. So I thought Natalie captured that perfectly. And also at the same time, somebody who has a fire, who's brilliant, and also you can feel her deep, deep abide and respect for kids, and that you could feel that connection there. Jimmy was my first choice, our first offer, and he said yes. I just felt like he had that warmth, and also he's got a spine of steel, and you needed that kind of balance to go with her. You didn't want it to, it could have been tricky if it was like you felt like he was dominating her or that she was dominating him. They really needed to be, it's a love story in a way of intellectual. It's an intellectual love story. It's about people who fall in love with each other first because of the way, again, that they think. So I thought that Jimmy was kind of the perfect guy for that. And then Clancy Brown is just like warmth and gravitas and happens to weirdly look exactly like C. Everett Koop. So that was great. And then Julianne, who plays Mia, Brandon Mike is brilliant. I mean, she was like 9 when she's just so good and has such control of her craft. And then, Brandon Michael Hall is lovely and charming. And then a lot of the cast that were, a lot of the extras are actually patients of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia,
Oh
or
wow,
yeah, or
that's awesome.
people knew. Yeah, I tried to make it as kind of like, again, as authentic and real and as possible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What a special experience for them. If they're already in there, you might as well like give them this fun kind of like once in a lifetime kind of moment and let them be in a movie about essentially kind of about their experiences, many years ago, but still like something that kind of crafted into their experience now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I love how you mentioned that, like, Natalie's ability to portray, both kind of sides of Audrey. It was really interesting to see because, like you said, she's so caring and so just personable with her patients. But then she does have this fire, but because of the kind of hierarchy and like the times, she has a fire, but she kind of has to like mute it at times. She's not like, she doesn't like butt heads. She just kind of like knows what she wants and is determined to get it no matter what happens. And I thought that was like an interesting like dynamic with her character.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we all have interpersonal work, that always happens. I think in the case of, in terms of the gender stuff, I wanted it to feel like the wallpaper in the room as opposed to a thing that she's specifically fighting, because that's kind of how it feels. It just sort of, it's sometimes, it's not necessarily something that you can name or call out, but it's kind of there, and it's influencing things and influencing the way people are responding to you in ways that are very sometimes subtle. Like I felt like, women and men both could kind of hopefully see that, feel that, and resonate with it. And that her her mission has nothing to do with her gender. Her mission is her mission. So she's working within this context in which her mission is affected by gender realities, and the realities of workplace, and maybe people aren't taking her as seriously, and yet she's just focused. She's just tenacious. She doesn't see herself like her real fight is for the kids, and so that's what she's focused on.
Yeah, definitely. And I liked how, well, I don't know if I liked it, but it was, you're right, you're right. Gender wasn't like front and center anytime that they kind of pushed back at her. It was kind of coded, so it could have been gender, but it also could have just been like hospital norms and protocol and things like that. And you
Yeah.
got that there was probably a gender undertone there, but it wasn't like the message of the movie. But I did also like there was a scene where Natalie's character and Jimmy's character kind of like butt heads over the patient care, and then Jimmy kind of comes out as like you think you're the only one that cares? Like I also care. He had a soft side to him as well that you didn't see until a little bit later. So there are, Natalie's not specifically caring about her kids because of her gender. It probably helps, but she is just a caring, loving doctor that wants to do the best for her patients.
Exactly. She's a doctor above all else. She's a thinker above all else, as are, Clancy and Jimmy's characters too. Exactly. It's exactly right.
Exactly. And you mentioned that you filmed at Chop. Like, what was that like filming there? Was it difficult? Did you have to like film at certain times? And how did you have to do stuff to transform the hospital into, a 1970s hospital, or is it just not been up there? Like, I don't know, how did you transform
Oh,
back to the
yeah.
times?
We actually didn't shoot. We did a lot of research at CHOP, which was great. We toured, we went to their research facilities many times and spoke to a lot of nurses and doctors that work there. But the CHOP is definitely contemporary. It has not, it is not circa 1969. It is very cutting edge.
I believe Art Deco would be like the term these days.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. We actually shot in an abandoned hospital and then brought in the set dressing to have it. But we did a lot of research in terms of what CHOP looked like in 1969 to try to make sure that it was matching appropriately.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes much more sense. It'd be tough to be like, okay, surgeries are closed for an hour as we film this important documentary or
Right.
this important movie. I also love, the film is a very serious film. It deals with serious subject matter, but I love how there's a light humor to it as well. Was that always part of the film? Was it in the script, or was that something that kind of the actors brought when they were, trying to deal with some of these really kind of tough, weighty decisions? Did like a light humor come through to kind of help to alleviate that, or where did that all come from?
Yeah, that was sort of, I mean, it was in the script, it's in the story, but it's also in the world. I mean, it's gallows humor. When we're in our deepest, darkest places, sometimes we just need like the human spirit needs a little lightness, needs a little perspective, needs a little critical distance. So it was in the kind of fabric of the story. So it was in the fabric of the script, and then it was in my approach in directing. It was definitely in the approach of the actors in terms of, what they brought to the table. I don't know, there's something instinctive about it, I suppose. I'm glad that resonated with you. That was definitely by design, just sort of, this is what people do in tragic situations. We sort of, again, we kind of sometimes have gallows humor, and I was my hope directorially is that to show that would help us align and sort of feel like we're shoulder to shoulder with the cast and the characters, and that we're with them on their journey because they're just behaving like the flawed, funny humans that we all are.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sometimes that's the best way, or that's the only way to kind of deal with these situations is to give a little bit of gallows humor, just to kind of like lighten the mood, because there were definitely some
Yeah.
weighty scenes there.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we have limited time, and now you have a busy schedule. I'm going to switch to just a lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see
Okay.
how your personal experiences map to things in the movie. Feel free to skip any of them. I won't be offended, but I try to keep them answerable.
Okay.
First question: when was the last time that you had an X-ray?
I'm gonna say about a month ago on my teeth.
Oh, good. All right. All clean, all healthy, no cavities. Oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
everything's
Perfect.
good.
This might be the same instance. When was the last time that you went to a doctor?
That would also, yeah, same instance. I guess I go to the dentist a lot.
That's good. No, clean teeth. It's important. It's important, especially when you're on camera. You need to have clean teeth. You need to smile a
That's
lot.
right.
It's perfect. Um, I loved the scene where Dr. Evans' character gets ready for a gala and like everyone is kind of like surprised how she cleans up. When was the last time that you went to something that you would like call a gala, some sort of like fancy formal event?
Oh my God. The fact that I do not have really any ready answer for that pretty much tells you it was decades
Oh
ago. I
wow.
don't think a wedding counts. I don't know. I guess I'm similar to the Audrey. I'd rather just sort of stay home and think about things.
That's fine. You know what? If you don't, if you're not going to enjoy it, then you didn't have to like go out and try to raise money. Then you might as well just stay home, right?
Right,
So,
right.
um, I also love how Dr. Evans would do some questionable things for her job for the greater good, I guess. If you care, you can just say yes or no. You can pass. Have you ever had to do anything kind of questionable or risky for your job to get something done?
Oh my God. I mean, isn't that what directing is?
Kind
Every
of.
day, all day long. You know, it's like, that's which is the fun of it. Like, are you sure you can get that next piece of coverage? Yes, I am. I'm 1,000% accurate. If you give me 15 minutes, I can get the character here, move everything, move the cars, and we can do it. I promise.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
That,
I guess making an indie film is risky and questionable, but also, beautiful, just like this film. So,
oh, thank you. Good.
um, do you have any people in your life? I don't know if you have children, if you do, but do you have any other people in your life that you would like treat like children, consider kind of your children, kind of like Dr. Evans did with her patients?
Oh boy, I do. I have a son. He's 18. So he's 18, so he doesn't like it when I treat him like a child, which is totally understandable and I absolutely respect. I mean, insofar as that if treating people like children are that we want the best for them, we want to try to protect them, we want to support them in their goals, then yeah, a lot of people in my life. Yeah, a lot of people in my life.
Excellent. Very caring, very loving. And the last question, this McDonald's plays a role in this movie. I won't spoil how, but McDonald's plays a role. When was the last time that you ate at McDonald's?
1973?
Wow. All right. It's been a bit.
And to be clear, it's not McDonald's actually, it's the Ronald McDonald House charities, which are different. They're a little different. They're loosely affiliated, but it's the Ronald McDonald House charities that are they're doing that's the house that she purchased was for that charity organization.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine what the prices were like in 1973, though.
That's more
Like
like
20
15
cent.
cents for a burger, right? Yeah.
Yeah. How times have changed. You probably could even get egg on that burger for not like $20. So,
Right.
So the film is being released in theaters on March 28, 2025. You're out promoting it, getting the word out, getting Dr. Evans' story heard. But after people see Audrey's Children, is there anything they can look for next from you? Anything you have, in the pipeline?
Oh, what a great question. I don't know yet. There are about three things that I'm thinking about. They're very different genres. One is a gothic horror, one is a sci-fi. I'm not really sure what will be the next thing, but I'll keep you guys posted.
Both of those sound good. Maybe not as uplifting, but maybe they will be as Audrey's Children. So you can wait for those films. But first, check out Audrey's Children coming to theaters on March 28th, 2025. This is director Amy Cannon Mann. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.